This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag. I'm excited, and you should be too, because this is where the show is yours. The floor is yours. This is all about giving the listeners a voice. I say that every week, but this show exists because of you. If nobody wrote in and nobody called in, we would have no mailbag show. So you guys control this. It is not about me. It is all about you. And right up top, if anybody wants to call in or email us, let me give you that information so that you're not sitting there wondering. Our email is realwwepodcast@gmail.com, and our voicemail number is 518-952-0247. So just leave a voicemail. I promise, I say this every time, I'm not going to answer. It's a unmanned number, so it's not going to get awkward. I'm not going to answer and say, hello? No, who's this? I promise. So that's how you participate. If you're in kind of a standby only mode right now and you're wondering how to participate, that's how you do it. So again, welcome to the July 28th, 2021 version of the WWE Podcast Mailbag, episode 39. So next week, which I probably won't be here for, as y'all know why, would be episode 40. So that is certainly an accomplishment on your end, not mine. So, all right, let's get to that all-important Patreon email and messages to the show. And by the way, if you want to get priority placement in the show, like our patrons are right now, head on over to patreon.com and go to WWE Podcast, or just patreon.com/WWE Podcast. We're pretty easy to find. And for $1, you get that plus just a ton more stuff. For $1, guys, $1. Ad-free versions for every show that we've ever done. So, all right. Let's continue on to Randy. Randy will start us off here. Thanks for being a longtime patron. And I have to say, Randy, you seem like you start off every show, and that's not a bad thing. I like routine in my life sometimes. All right. So Randy writes in and says, hey, Matt, Randy the patron here. Hope I made it in time. First, so Shotzi and Nox are great. And the tank thing, if you take that away from her, she's been doing it from the beginning, which I actually did not know. Okay, I didn't follow NXT that closely with these two. But with Natalya being hurt, what do you think they should do for the titles? Well, I honestly don't know how long. I haven't heard a time frame of how long Natalya's out. If she's out for more than a couple of months, I would say, either have have Tamina grab a temporary partner until Natalya comes back, which is probably what they'll do anyway. I guess they could vacate the belts, but that's not fair to Tamina, who earned it. So that's what I think they'll do, is probably, for the time being, put a substitute in with Tamina, and that's what I think they'll do. I mean, their other option is, of course, doing what they've done before with the Women's Tag Team Championships and the Raw Women's Championship, is just ignore it. Hey, pretend it doesn't exist. Pretend we don't have one. So that's also a very good possibility. So it's one of those two, replacement or just ignore it. WWE has edited out the Roman Reigns intercourse comments. My God, this era sucks. That was such a great comment. I laughed like hell. It was a good comment. It did make me chuckle a little bit too, and also go, ooh, there's no way that's PG. And I actually am okay with them editing this out, because by this point you probably already heard that he did it, like yourself and me and probably a couple million people. But if you're a heel, do you want to be entertaining? No, you want to be hated. That's not a comment that is fitted for a heel. It's not suited for a heel. It's more like a Rock comment, isn't it? It's something that The Rock could spin and make everyone in the arena laugh. And even the people in attendance were entertained by it. I don't want to be entertained by the heel. I want to hate the heel. So as great of a comment as it was, arguably Roman's funniest to date, I don't want him funny. So I don't think they took it off because they didn't want him to be funny. They took it off probably because of the pressure from the network or sponsors who maybe had a problem with it. Damian Priest, I think they need to make him win the title against Sheamus. They're still bringing up the WrestleMania match like enough already. I actually haven't heard them bring up the WrestleMania match. Probably best for my mental health. I don't need them bringing up the match. Again, not that it was an embarrassment, but I think it damaged Damian Priest a lot. And it's taken some time for him to kind of rid himself of that stench of being involved in that story. And again, not that Bad Bunny didn't overperform. He did. And credit to him. I've said that a million times now. It's more of just the story. The story itself was just awful. It was awful. You know, as great as he was in the ring, you can't repair the fact that the storyline was bad. But they need to stop bringing that up. That's not something you want in your resume. You know, that you were basically the bodyguard for Bad Bunny who ran his mouth, and then Damian Priest would back him up. I mean, that's not something that you don't put that on your you don't make that a public thing and then continue to remind people that as if it's something that you should be proud of. Okay, moving on. I'm sorry, I just don't agree with everyone and Charlotte being champ right now. Did you see the crowd clearly chanting for Rhea? She should not have lost it and made it Becky versus Rhea. Charlotte is a heel. They booed her. I'm still tired of Becky versus Charlotte. Why does it always go back to Charlotte, like bringing up others and make them win it or something? So I did hear the crowd on Monday. I was a bit surprised, I honestly, really was. The situation did set up whoever was going to come out as a babyface reaction. That scenario was set up on Raw for whoever was going to interrupt would probably get a pop. And I honestly cannot keep track. I mean, even if I had a scorecard, I can't keep track of how many times Rhea Ripley has been heel, face, in between, face, heel, in between, face. I mean, I think it's something along those lines. I really don't know what to make of it. That's this week's reaction, Randy, though. I mean, the crowd could turn on them. The WWE could decide to turn her back completely heel. I don't think they know what the hell to do. But I will tell you one thing. When Becky does return, everyone is a heel. Everyone, at least in the short term. Once the love affair fades away, is the word I was looking for. Once that love affair fades away, like the whole butterfly and rainbows and what is it they call it? The honeymoon phase when you're first in a relationship. When that goes away, you'll have people return to normal. But my point is when Becky comes back, everyone is a heel by default. Everyone. Because I think it's going to be that big of a support for Becky and the crowd reaction. So anyone that goes against her will automatically get booed. So, but I hear what you're saying. Charlotte is a heel, but let me ask you a question. Has she done anything that she hasn't followed through on? It's like Bobby Lashley when he was in the Hurt Business, or he is in the Hurt Business, and since. Over the last year, has Bobby said anything that he hasn't followed through on? So I don't understand why I'm supposed to hate Charlotte. I don't. Outside of the cheap heat. No, I'm not plugging that podcast. Just those words happen to come out of my mouth. Out of the cheap heat that you get from running down whatever city you're in or talking about the rival sports team, all that stuff that's just like I could do that and get heat. The thing is, it's local heat. That's the thing. When you do something like that like Charlotte's doing, you are just getting very isolated local heat. Because say, for example, Charlotte goes to New York City, goes to the Bronx, and starts running down the New York Yankees and talking about how great the Red Sox are. Charlotte's going to get booed out of the building. She then goes to Boston, or rather the Boston fans are sitting there going, yeah, this is great, right? So the people at home are like, could care less, right? The people at home don't care about you running down that city because the people at home are going, I don't care. It's not my city. Not my sports team. I don't care. So I guess it gives the perception that when they're on screen, they should be booed. And maybe it's kind of like a little bit of a psychological trick that even though it's a cheap method of obtaining heat, that it overall defines that character as a heel because you're just hearing them getting booed, even though the methodology of getting that heat is not very deep. Okay, I'm getting way too far into this, but anyway, I hear you, Randy. Charlotte did get booed. I was actually really surprised. I was surprised that Rhea got such a big support, but wait till Becky comes back. The whole women's division is going to be flipped on its head. All right. Last thing. They brought back Keith Lee for a pop, not for him to win. Think about it. If he beat Bobby, that makes no sense. You're building him up to be a beast. Hopefully, he destroys Goldberg. Or maybe they aren't setting up Goldberg for Brock. They are setting up Goldberg versus Brock again. What do you think? So, Randy, first of all, thank you for your weekly contribution to the show. But I can say with fairly high confidence that I would speak for 90+% of the fans in saying that if they do Brock versus Goldberg again, that they will see a backlash, unlike a backlash that they've seen since potentially Daniel Bryan. They will feel the wrath of fans. I think that fans, if they did that, would boo it out of the building. They wouldn't care who won or lost. It would be the worst thing you could do to also a returning Brock Lesnar, by the way. So I really hope that's not the case, and I actually highly doubt it. I really do. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. But yeah, Keith Lee comes back, and boy, he hasn't really done much since, huh? Hasn't said much. Has lost a few matches. I don't think he's gotten a victory since his return. And Lord knows only what the last 6 months was in Keith Lee's life. You know, I spoke about this with Michael Gross on the Raw review last night, and I said, you know, we don't know what happened with Keith Lee over the last 6 months. Could be COVID, could be multiple bouts of COVID, could be a personal issue, a family issue, a family emergency. It could be mental health. It could be problems with creative, his contract. Who knows? Probably some form or factor of maybe all those. So, Randy, thank you as always. All right, let's get to Miller. Miller writes in, and he's got, how's it, Matt? Mr. Miller here from the beautiful South Africa. Crazy times here in my country, but always great to catch up on some WWE and listening to the podcast and see the live crowd back and the absolute joy of getting slowly back to the good old days before the damn pandemic. Well, don't talk to the Delta variant. Maybe the Delta variant doesn't know, right? That we're beyond COVID. But anyway, so Roman declines Cena's challenge and accepted Balor's challenge. So close to SummerSlam. Are they going to have Balor versus Roman match before SummerSlam and then still do Cena versus Reigns at SummerSlam? Okay, I'll pause and I will say, yes. I cannot imagine a world in which they feel, WWE that is, the collective they, feel that Balor and Roman is a bigger match than Cena and Roman. There's just no way. And if you listen to the exact words of Balor's challenge, he didn't ask Roman to put the belt on the line. So with that, I think that, number one, that's the reason why Roman accepted, because as a heel, you'll accept matches even if you're hesitant, as long as the belt that you have isn't put on the line. And it has to happen before SummerSlam. I don't want a triple threat. I don't want Roman and Balor at SummerSlam. I'm fine with it before. It could happen on Monday Night Raw before. They could announce it on social media tomorrow that it's going to be on Monday Night Raw as the main event. It's a main event of any Monday Night Raw. Or I'm sorry, not Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. So it could be the main event of any SmackDown. And I expect it to happen before SummerSlam. They've got a few weeks. I think they have three more SmackDowns before the show. So they've got time. Will Cena actually challenge Balor, which would also be a pretty great match? Yeah. Cena and Balor would be fun. Cena and Balor would be fun. First of all, I don't even know why Balor didn't challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. He's got a pretty good claim to stake that he never lost it, to my knowledge. He was injured and had to give it up the day after he won it a number of years ago. But Cena and Balor, I think, yeah, that'd be fun. I think that would be a fun matchup. I just don't know if Vince would want babyface versus babyface there. And I don't think Cena's going to stick around long enough to have more than one program, which is Roman Reigns. So I'm fine with the match. It's fun. It's new. And there could be something there, but it's babyface. What's on the line other than pride, right? And I don't think Cena's going to stick around long enough. Now, the reports are that Cena's actually going to be there the SmackDown after SummerSlam. Typically, with tradition of big stars returning and then coming back and cycling back into the movie world, they end at the pay-per-view and that's it. But Cena said, or has been all but confirmed, he's actually going to be there the Friday night after SummerSlam, which is cool. But maybe it's just kind of I'll see you later. I'll see you around WrestleMania. I'm guessing. So let's see. Okay, will Cena actually challenge Balor? Oh, I just went through that. Guys, I'm half awake. I don't want to see another Roman Reigns championship defense in a triple threat with a legend like Cena. I love Roman Reigns. He is really the face of WWE. Great performer, and I honestly really enjoy him on the mic. I want him to keep that title for much longer. He is a defender now, not a challenger. Okay, let me pause there again. Yes, he certainly is. Roman Reigns right now is not even arguably, just factually, in the biggest part of his career. He is defining his career right now. We will look back at this title reign and go, damn, that was great. That's where he defined who he is. And I think you eventually could build to a babyface turn for Roman and actually have it be successful, because fans would have had a number of years, hopefully, to just crap all over him, get it out of their systems like they've been asking for 6 years. So I'm with you. I think Roman, I want Roman to have that belt for a long time, meaning through WrestleMania 38. Because when you look at the landscape of SmackDown specifically, or really the whole roster, okay, let's look at the whole roster, because a shakeup's coming and you don't know what the SmackDown landscape's going to look like. Looking at the entire roster, who's somebody that you actually would say is worth cleanly beating Roman Reigns for the championship? Name somebody. It's hard. It's really difficult. And yes, you have John Cena. Is he going to win? Probably not. You have The Rock. Entertaining as hell. It's going to be a great story. People are going to lose their minds, including myself. Yes, it's going to be fun. And there's a built-in storyline right there. But is The Rock really somebody you want carrying the belt? No, he's way past that. It's an attraction match. You have Cena as an attraction match. You have The Rock coming up as an attraction match, presumably at WrestleMania 38 in Dallas. So I don't know who that next person is. It's a hell of a question. And the longer his championship reign goes, the bigger that person has to be to take it off of him, justifiably. So, okay, let's keep going. The Raw Women's title picture is starting to feel extremely small now. Is Ripley and Charlotte going to be the only superstars in the title picture forever? Getting really bored with that. The whole Nikki ASH character makes me cringe so damn much. Can't stand watching it. Dude, you're preaching to the choir. The Raw Women's picture does feel very small. It has felt very small, which is why they didn't do qualifiers for Money in the Bank, because they didn't have enough women to do the qualifying matches for. Or essentially, if they did, it would be 50% of the women's roster would qualify for that match. That's why they didn't do it. But it's thin, and they need an influx of talent right away. The debut of Toni Storm was good. That's a start. Knox and Shotzi are good from what I've seen so far. I don't like the tank thing. I don't care if it was a grandfathered gimmick from NXT. I don't like it, especially if it has a Nerf gun on the front. That's all you need to know. It's an overgrown Power Wheels to me. So, but nonetheless, it's nice that they're infusing new talent. That's what I want to see. I don't care. They don't have to be necessarily a big star like Becky Lynch returning. That's going to certainly help. And it's going to be awesome. But I'm in the phase of being okay with people that come up from NXT or elsewhere that they bring in, and you have to start to learn who they are. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with I have patience. I'm okay with a new young talent for the women coming in, and talents, make that plural, coming in so you can learn about them. So the announcers can tell us about them. I mean, that's what I want. So, okay. And the Nikki ASH character, Ash character, Nikki Cross, whatever the hell she wants to be known as. I'm not even going to touch it because you guys know how I feel about it. Okay. It's like the Miz wheelchair gimmick. Does not work for me. Bloody annoying, actually. I mentioned this before. Jeff Hardy having one last championship run or story, but he definitely is out of the WWE or Universal. He's out of the WWE Universal Title League. But with beating Karrion Kross, Jeff Hardy for me is in great shape, or at a great stage now to bring up, and coming stars, he's already a legend and respected and a definite future Hall of Famer. Could he go to NXT and challenge Kross? Just a thought. I don't know if Jeff Hardy would go to NXT. And I'm not saying that would be a demotion for him. I just don't know if the environment's right for him. Being a 45 plus year old man, I don't know if it's a smart move to bring him into an environment that is all about young talent. Now, somebody may counter that by saying, well, what are they doing with Samoa Joe? Well, number one, Samoa Joe hasn't competed in a WWE ring in a long time, and fans have been wondering if it's going to happen. He just had a great moment on NXT with William Regal this past week, which I actually watched. Yeah, believe it or not, I watched it. And him coming back to challenge Karrion Kross is going to be great. Samoa Joe, that is. And from what I've seen, that it's a hell of a program, and I'm actually invested, only watching a week and a half of it. So I just don't think Hardy is in that stage anymore. I think WWE has, while I understand your want for one more run, I don't think it's in Jeff Hardy's future. I think they have the defined legacy role for Jeff by helping elevate new talent, getting a few key wins, but ultimately losing the program to help elevate that talent. And I think we're going to see that with Karrion Kross. So I hope I made it in time. I have much more I wanted to say. In case I don't speak to you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night from Mr. Miller from the Rainbow Nation. Oh yes, another thing. Looks like Raw had new graphics, but Sonya Deville said there is going to be a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship. But then when Charlotte's match was announced against Nikki, they said it was a Raw Women's Championship match. So if Charlotte lost, would a triple threat still have happened? Anyway, yeah. I think the triple threat is overused a lot. It's kind of like the super kick of match stipulations, I feel like. But you're right. I think the triple threat match probably would have happened anyway because they love themselves, their triple threats. And every time they announce it, anybody pick this up, the vibe anyway? Anytime a GM or an official or whoever's in charge announces that it's going to be a multi-person match, they say it in a way that's almost as if it's new. And the person who's being told of this news, or people, acts surprised. They're saying, like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make a triple threat match. And the champion or whoever is just shocked about that. The contender is shocked or surprised or whatever, or elated. And it's always praise. There's always praise to that official for coming up with such a genius idea. Is it just trolling people at this point? I mean, there are triple threat matches almost every single week. on Raw or SmackDown, especially on pay-per-views. I don't. Are people supposed to be wowed by it? It's become beyond normal. I don't know, but all right, I'm going off the deep end. Thank you so much, Miller, for your email. Alrighty, let's get to our other patron, and very important patron, of course. This is last, but certainly not least, as they say, Mr. DJ Kuzmo, who's back at it again. I can hear him in my mind saying this. And so DJ writes in and he says, "Hey Matt, DJ Kuzmo here, back at it again on your mailbag show." I'm emoting what he's writing. Here we go. First and foremost, final mailbag. Hearing you mention that your wife is having baby too. If this presumably is your final mailbag for a while, I wish your wife a safe delivery and get ready for the sleepless nights, the changing diapers, and all the fun things that go with the birth of newborn. With the Patreon fam, the listeners, and everyone that calls and emails to the mailbag, we appreciate the work you do. We can't wait to hear back from you very soon. Enjoy being a dad once again. All right, enough of that warm, gushy, emotional stuff. Let's talk wrestling. Well, first of all, thank you, DJ, for that. We are also wishing for the same. We're just sitting here very impatiently wondering what's going to happen when, C-section, no C-section. Not that anyone particularly is interested in my personal ventures of being a dad for a second time. But yeah, it is certainly anybody that's had a kid that's listening in the sound of my voice, you know the anxiety, the discomfort, everything that goes with it, but really the awesomeness that also comes with it. So thank you, DJ. And yeah, this is probably my final mailbag. Let me tell you, if I am doing a mailbag next week, I'm probably not in a good mental place. Okay. So if I am doing the mailbag next Thursday night, or Wednesday night rather, as I record this, I'm fearful of that. So, I mean, that'd be great for you guys, but maybe it'll be not so great for my mental health and everything. But anyway, who cares about me, right? Let's move on. AEW. The year was 2019. Oh, I feel a story coming on. COVID hadn't existed yet, and the first AEW Dynamite show was on October 2nd. If you told me at that time that 2 years from now, in 2021, we'll be talking about CM Punk and Daniel Bryan possibly joining AEW, I would say maybe. But the question would be, how would AEW pull that off? Now in 2021, with the amount of WWE releases and wrestlers being future endeavored, AEW has been on a hot streak, signing guys like Christian Cage, Andrade, Aleister Black, Big Show, Mark Henry, just to name a few. And AEW has also collaborated with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact, NWA, and GCW, just to name a few. The possibilities are endless for this wrestling promotion, and hopefully there are more big things on the horizon for AEW. With that being said, the possible signing of both CM Punk and Daniel Bryan to AEW will be huge for the company and will cause a rippling effect in the pro wrestling world and online community. It will be an early Christmas present for us wrestling fans, and hopefully WWE counters back with an improvement on the creative side, or bringing back Braun Strowman, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and maybe Brock Lesnar, and hopefully The Rock in the near future. For wrestling fans to continue to thrive in this post-COVID era, all wrestling promotions, whether big or small, must succeed. The live crowds are back, and we are excited to see what happens next in terms of storylines, big main event matches, and of course, the big returns and debuts. With that being said, I think Daniel Bryan might debut first on AEW on an episode of Dynamite when his signing becomes official. And I think Punk might debut at the All Out pay-per-view Sunday, September 5th in his hometown of Chicago. However, regardless if they debut separately or together, it's going to be one hell of a night that will live in our memories forever. Just a quick sidebar on the AEW women's division. It would be awesome if AEW signs Tessa Blanchard. You should talk to Michael Gross, big proponent of Tessa, because they haven't signed any big name women wrestlers outside of probably Thunder Rosa and Jade Cargill. Did I say that right? That's how much I watch this AEW. A shame on me, but I have utmost respect for everyone in AEW. But Jade Cargill, or Cargill, one of the two. Tessa Blanchard's name value and credibility will give the women's division on AEW a much-needed boost. Talking about women's wrestling, I want to segue to, and then you have your next section. Okay, well, DJ, there's no question. Signing CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, especially if they debut together, whatever it may be, is going to rock. It's going to rock the foundation of the pro wrestling world, not just AEW, not just WWE. Like you said, it is going to be a ripple effect around the world of wrestling. It's that big of a deal, specifically CM Punk. That's not to like cast a shadow on Daniel Bryan's debut in AEW, because that's huge too. And in a way, he is already being kind of cast aside slightly for the anticipation of CM Punk's return, since he hasn't been in a ring in 7 years. We know the story with WWE, and we're all looking forward to his promos. So again, guys, this is all assuming that is 100% confirmed, and I actually believe this one's real. So that said, I'm with you that it could be September 5th in his hometown of Chicago. However, this is coming from our resident conspiracy theorist, Mary Grader, who has tweeted me while I was recording this show. She tweeted at me and showed me that AEW Rampage is going to be the AEW Rampage, The First Dance, is coming to the United Center in Chicago Friday, August 20th. So, do you think it's possible there? I will tell you, it's either August 20th or September 5th. So, no questions there. But I'm all for a dual debut. I think that's definitely possible. I do kind of feel a little bad for Daniel, because had Punk not also been signing at the same time, Daniel Bryan on his own would have gotten all the glory, all the spotlight, and it would have been a massive story in and of itself. But you throw CM Punk in there, I mean, he trumps all other signings. He's that one elusive signing, that unicorn that's been hanging out there that no one can seem to capture. Or in WWE's case, they'd probably say, we didn't even try. We moved on. Yeah, baloney, right? That's garbage. That's garbage. And WWE would be absolute fools for not considering signing Punk. Not that Punk would agree and to coming into WWE and doing what he may want to do in AEW, but they would be absolute fools. They may publicly say that they had no interest and we don't think it's a good fit, all this garbage. That's all a facade. It's all eyewash. It's all perception. Behind closed doors, they're probably like, mother, right? They're probably a little pissed. Those that are smart are a little concerned, a little bit. Not that WWE's going to shut down like some people think. I've actually had that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, there's no signing anyone could do that would shut another company down based on that signing alone. Let's get real. But could it eventually lead to a decrease in ratings for WWE? Very possible. Very possible. That's how you hurt them in their wallet. So, all right. Let's move on, DJ, to your next section, the Queen of the Ring. I don't know if you've heard that the WWE is potentially planning to create a Queen of the Ring tournament sometime in the near future. The whole purpose of the tournament, just like King of the Ring, is to give the winner, the next big star, a main event push. When I think of the winners of the King of the Ring tournament that went on to have successful main event pushes and became future champions, I think of Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, Booker T, aka King Booker. These wrestlers that I mentioned, when entering the tournament, were in the earlier part of their careers in the WWF/WWE and hadn't reached their full potential or their peak until they won that tournament. With that being said, the Queen of the Ring tournament has the potential to build up the next woman wrestler in the WWE. And whenever that inaugural Queen of the Ring tournament gets started, I want Liv Morgan to win it. She should have won the Money in the Bank ladder match. Since the release of her tag team partner and friend Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan has gradually, week by week, improved on the mic, and we can all agree that she's gained the trust of fans to believe in her and to give her the support after giving her all in the Money in the Bank ladder match. She's clearly deserving of a major opportunity. Come on, WWE. Isn't that what you want? A feel-good story to get the fans emotionally invested in a wrestler's character? But I digress. Yes, I want Liv too. I think that what they did was they're testing fans to see if this is kind of a quick one-off love fest with Liv. It's a little bit of an experiment, I guess, to kind of pile on Roman Reigns' analogy. Is this a one-night stand with Liv, or do they want to get in a real relationship with Liv? And I think the fans want a real relationship with Liv. I really do. They want a long-term relationship. I really believe that. So I don't know. I don't know where that came from. But all right, 2 more things to add on the Queen of the Ring tournament. Not only include the Raw and SmackDown women's rosters, but how about NXT? Because legitimately, whether you acknowledge it or not, WWE, NXT should be identified as a third brand of pro wrestling, not some farm system in prepping talent for your main roster. Yeah, well, unfortunately, they say one thing and do another. They're speaking out of both sides of their mouth on that one. They just are. They'll and Triple H will say it that, oh, we're a legitimate third brand. I think you've seen it, and here's an example. And I would say to Triple H, okay, well, you guys weren't involved in the Rumble. You weren't involved in the Survivor Series last year. And you routinely have people come back or move up, but rarely have people circle back to NXT. I mean, all the evidence points to Vince looking at NXT as their own internal farm system. So they can say whatever they want. I'm seeing what they're doing, and it's sending me a different message. So, okay. Once the inaugural Queen of the Ring tournament is completed, how about booking this tournament every other year instead of trying to book it every year like a Money in the Bank pay-per-view? For instance, if the Queen of the Ring is held this year, then the King of the Ring should be booked next year, and then the Queen of the Ring returns in 2023. It would give the tournament a certain level of importance because it's not booked every year. For example, the Olympics. The Summer Olympics occur every 4 years, while the Winter occur every 2 years. Okay. I like that. I like the Queen of the Ring. I got to say, I like the Queen of the Ring tournament. I just hope it's not Charlotte, for God's sakes. Can it not be Charlotte? I'm a massive Charlotte supporter. But can we not do that? Please? That would be a little overkill. I mean, it wouldn't do anything for anybody at all, because Charlotte would just be, I mean, it would be the biggest waste of time. Like, she already has said that she's the queen 1,000 times or more. So I'm all for a younger talent that has not yet gotten that quote push, the beloved push yet. I'm all for Liv Morgan. Yep. I mean, who knows what's actually going to happen when it, what the rosters are going to look like when this actually gets implemented. But I like it, and every other year too. Okay. Final thoughts. What is going on with Shayna Baszler on Monday Night Raw? Ay. Nice. I've never spelled that out, and I knew what that meant. Cool. Whatever happened to the monster heel Shayna Baszler that debuted on Raw in early 2020 before the lockdown? Whatever happened to the Shayna Baszler that terrorized all the qualifiers of the Women's Elimination Chamber match last year? Remember when she had that gruesome segment on Raw when she bit Becky Lynch's ear and Shayna was labeled a vampire? Ever since she lost to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 36 last year, she has yet to get a new main event push. Shayna would be my second choice to win the Queen of the Ring tournament because she's absolutely doing nothing credible right now, and she's still stuck in a tag team with Nia Jax, which they're not even the tag champs anymore. So if creative finally decides to split the team, or Shayna gets drafted to SmackDown, or Shayna wins the inaugural Queen of the Ring tournament, a change must come for Shayna Baszler. That's all I got to say this week. So if this is indeed your final mailbag, not final forever, DJ. I'm not dying. I hope. I wish you and your wife all the best in your birth of your second child. Best regards, DJ. P.S. No voicemail from me this week. I'm awaiting patiently for the breaking news of CM Punk and Daniel Bryan joining AEW, just like I'm waiting patiently for Kanye's new album to drop, which I hope happens soon. And hopefully we get a return of your quick hit segment on AEW breaking news, along with Mary Grader's CM Punk files / the Conspiracy Mayor report. Peace. Okay. Well, it's funny you mentioned the quick hits. I was actually going to start, like as if now was a good time to start new shows, right? I mean, I guess I'll just be at that point just circumventing the laws of time and space to somehow create more time in my life. So that said, I actually was going to do some kind of quick hits news segment on a, I don't know, I would love to do it daily because it could be quick. It could be 5-10 minutes, 15 at the absolute most, where I could give you like the news of the day or something like that. And not just do it when major stuff hits, but rather kind of just like a daily news report to talk about the rumors, talk about that kind of stuff. Would you guys be interested in that? It's a serious question. Let me know if you would like to have a regular, whether that means daily or weekly, I don't know yet, whatever regular means to you, a regular news segment, specific, its own show. It wouldn't appear on another show. It'd be its own. Let me know. So thank you, DJ, for reminding me of that. And yes, we are all awaiting that announcement. I will say though, DJ, I think you might be waiting a while. I think you might be waiting a while with the AEW officially announcing it. If I were them, I wouldn't announce it. I would just have him show up. The crowd again, half of them would show stroke symptoms. I think I just did right there. So, God. Oh, God almighty. All right. Thank you, DJ. And yes, Shayna Baszler needs to get back on track. We've said it for months. I think as a collective fan base, we're like, what the hell's going on? She did her thing with Alexa. She finally gets kind of be a single star again. And then they did the worst thing possible you could do with Alexa Bliss. She just gets put back in a tag team and taken some pretty horrible losses between roll-ups and distraction finishes. And it's been really bad for Shayna. I'm sure Nia is okay with this, because had it not been for Nia or Shayna, Nia probably wouldn't be in that position she's in. I think that Nia needs Shayna more than Shayna needs Nia. No question. But I'm done with this team. Not that they didn't add a lot of value and equity to the SmackDown or the Women's Tag Team Championships. They did. And I credit them for that. But can we just call a spade, pun intended, and just take Shayna Baszler and put her where she belongs as a single star? You can make the same case for AJ Styles. So thanks, DJ, for all your kind words, and I hope to see and talk to you soon. Alrighty, let's see here. Couple more emails, and then we'll get to our mailbag voicemails. So I'm just going through here, making sure I didn't skip anybody. This is from Dennis. All right, Dennis O'Brien. He writes in and says, "Hey, Matt, I'm sober." Well, that's good to know, because last time you weren't. When you wrote in, it was hilarious. "I think it's looking like Bobby versus Brock at WrestleMania, which is perfect. I'm okay with Bobby versus Bill at SummerSlam. An easy match for Lashley. I think in the draft, you could bring good competitors from SmackDown and NXT to Raw, like Big E, Cross, Balor, Edge. What do you think? I am sober." Okay. Well, Dennis, I have to say, the fact that you had to say you're sober twice in your email makes me wonder if you're actually sober. So I don't know if that's an indication, if you are actually sober. I mean, I don't know, Dennis, it's good stuff. I mean, I got to say, I don't know if you're trying to be funny, but either way you are. So please keep calling it, or please keep emailing us. Have your drinks, my friend, enjoy, and just don't drive. But outside of the sober thing, your Brock and Bobby at WrestleMania is probably correct. It seems as if Brock is not interested. They couldn't come to terms, whatever the case may be. That they're not quite ready for Brock yet, or Brock's not quite ready for them. I don't know. Maybe Brock wants to, again, maybe grow out his ponytail a little bit longer. He's not ready for that, to debut it to the world. But Brock and Bobby at WrestleMania, bring it on. I think that's the case. And if it doesn't happen at SummerSlam, I don't see it happening until WrestleMania. So yes, agreed. And Bobby versus Bill at SummerSlam, easy match for Lashley. I hope so. I really hope so. Yes. All right, Dennis. Thank you. Let's continue. A couple more. Only two more. No. 3 more emails, but they seem fairly quick. Okay. Cameron, I believe you're new. Cameron writes in and says, "Sammy is so entertaining and great on the mic, and his gimmick helps that. However, I had a realization about Sammy's gimmick. I think it's universally agreed upon by fans. They want Sammy to hold a title of some kind, but that's not going to happen as long as he has his current gimmick. because his gimmick is obviously believing a conspiracy that the company is against him and he always loses because of shenanigans in his mind, but that's the self-defeating aspect. In order for Sammy's gimmick to work, he can get momentum, as they say, and if you don't have momentum, there's no title in sight for you. Sammy's whole gimmick is literally not winning championships, which realistically is why you compete in the first place, and losing his mind because of it. This makes me like his gimmick less now because I know as long as he plays this gimmick, he'll never win a championship. I think the only way to somewhat retain his gimmick and have him win the title is getting rid of the conspiracy part of it, keep him talking about the karmic justice and balance of the universe, and have him start winning more and more each week. So now, instead of going nuts over a conspiracy, have him go nuts over the balance of the universe and think the universe is in his favor, and eventually end the gimmick by having his title reign end, and reality suddenly hitting him in the nuts and turning him face, trying to do the right things do right by the wrong things he did, but knowing WWE will mess up some way down the road. But it is SmackDown, so he'll probably be fine. Well, Cameron, first of all, welcome. I don't believe you've joined the show before, so thanks for writing in. I will say I see what you're saying. And his whole gimmick is about being screwed over and everybody's out to get him, and there's a whole systemic injustice against him and all this stuff. So it would make sense that if he got a championship, well, that's his whole gimmick, is that he can't win because the whole system is against him. But I think it could win if he won a championship and have him continue this, because what could happen is he wins the championship, right? A championship, assuming the Intercontinental Championship, probably not a world title at this point, or the U.S. title if he goes to Monday Night Raw, or the title switches, whatever, when there's a shakeup. What you could do to continue it is you have Sammy win, and he comes on the mic, and the next night on Raw, or the next night on SmackDown, next week on whatever show. And he comes out and says, finally, I get what I had coming to me, right? This is justice. This is what justice looks like. And he comes out and he talks about how, things are falling in his favor, and how that he overcame all the injustices. And then whoever his next opponent is comes out and challenges him, or challenges him. Sammy turns it down. And then, you have Sonya Deville or Adam Pearce come out and say, no, you're going to defend this championship at the next pay-per-view or whatever. And maybe making it a triple threat if he has multiple challengers. Because Lord knows if there's a triple threat where Sammy has to defend, he's going to talk about the injustice of a triple threat, or the injustice of having to even defend it at all. So you can put him in scenarios, even as a champion, where he could complain that he is being set up to lose the championship. So he'll have that brief moment of elation, and then it'll be right back to Mr. Conspiracy Theory. Even as a champion, you could do it. So, thank you so much. I like your logic, though. It is sound. The karmic justice is pretty funny, I gotta say. In Balance of the Universe, yeah, he's got some really, really good phrases there. So, thanks, Cameron. Let's get to Sharon. So he actually writes in. I know normally he is one of the first to start off our voicemails, but he writes in and he says, "Hello, Matt. Wanted to ask you, what do they mean when they say contenders match? Does it mean if you win, you get a title shot? They started writing that in just the last few weeks. If this is the case, then it is so weird. Every match with the champion should be a title match. If not, it just looks weird to see the champion lose. Also, I think that now more than ever, SmackDown turned itself to the Elite show. And I think that the real test will be when Roman Reigns stops being a champion. It looks like that maybe without him, they don't have a show. Maybe they hold Roman so they can be the better show." Sharon, good to see you. I say see you, meaning I'm looking at the words you wrote to me. But thank you for contributing this week, as you always do. And I brought this up on my Raw review too. It was the first time I noticed them calling things contenders matches. And at first I was thinking, and I spoke to Michael Gross about this. I said, did they just decide that number one contender is an antiquated term? And then I think we landed on this. that perhaps they didn't mean to erase number one contender from their vocabulary of pro wrestling, that it's still an acceptable phrase, but rather a contenders match is just a pool of people that are, quote, eligible to contend for the championship. Meaning, let's take an example. We have Sheamus versus, say, Humberto Carrillo, and it's labeled as a contenders match. I believe, although it's never been ever rectified or clarified from the announcers, and it should be, that this is a contenders match. What that means is if Humberto Carrillo beats Sheamus, that he will be then considered as a contender for the United States Championship, where he could assumingly challenge Sheamus at any time for that title. And again, that's my assumption, unless they just took number one out of the phrase for some weird reason. That's how I'm perceiving contender, that you just get put in this pool of qualified individuals that they could pull from at any time to give a title match to or whatever. It's just like pre-qualifying you, I guess. But I don't know. There's so many logistical holes in this. There's so many logistical holes. It's not even worth trying to dissect it. My breath is not worth it. But I'd agree with you. Okay, let's get to your next point here. Let's see here. So what would happen if Roman Reigns lost the belt and then he gets taken off SmackDown? Or let's just say loses the belt. I don't think that it's going to hurt SmackDown. In fact, whoever wins it, now again, this is assuming all else is equal, and we have everyone on the same rosters and the shakeup hasn't happened yet. Let's assume it happened at SummerSlam, right? And Roman Reigns loses. I would still say that Roman Reigns is still the top guy. He has, at this point, cemented his legacy. He has established himself in a way that can't be undone. And while him being champion still adds to the show, I think him not being champion and wondering what he's going to do next to get the belt back would be just as fun. So I'm of the belief that it wouldn't be a death nail to SmackDown, especially if done correctly. So thank you, Sharon, and I am looking forward to hearing from you next week, maybe in a voicemail form. All right. Let's see here. Let's look for our final email, and that is from Owen. Owen writes in and says, hope everything goes well with the birth of your second child. I'm sure you're going to be very busy soon, so please take a break. You deserve it. I know the show is in very good hands. Your team is excellent. Thank you, Owen. Anyway, with that said, I have to admit, I may have been over negative last week. Listening back to my email I sent in, I can see I focused on a few minor issues when I really should have been celebrating fans being back and what this means for the business. By the way, I did mean I wish Goldberg would come back as a heel, as I accidentally said face. Which I'm sure got some listeners shouting at their devices. Still, my opinions may have been controversial, and if your listeners were annoyed by my over negativity, then I have to say sorry to absolutely nobody. Yes. All right, good. Oh, and you turned heel again. You doubled down. I'm proud of you. At the end of the day, wrestling is entertainment, and what some things love, others may hate. Anyway, with all that said, these are my options on some main events of this week. Opinions, not options. Jeez. Finn Balor versus Roman. Wow. Now that is what I call interesting. It's things like this which is what I love about wrestling. Such a surprise match and leaves us wanting to find out what will happen next. For example, will John Cena somehow make this a triple threat match? And if so, how? I remember my first mailbag, I spoke about how I wanted Finn to come back to WWE and join Raw to challenge the Almighty, which I still think makes more sense, but Finn versus Roman is very exciting. It is, but again, I don't know, Owen, if Finn ever said that this is for the Universal Championship, and maybe that's Roman's out, that he never agreed to a championship match, he just agreed to a match. Because I don't think the words Universal Championship came out of Finn's mouth. So I'll have to go back and rewatch that. I could be totally wrong, but I remember coming out of this going, oh, okay, they're going to have a match. And I think some people just automatically assumed it was going to be for the Universal title. So, Raw Women's Division. Nikki ASH may be my least favorite champion of all time. Let me write down a word for a word quote of what. Let me write down word for word a quote of what she said after her loss to Charlotte. Man, I expect this to be read out loud in a Scottish accent. I said I can't even do it. Let me try to an embarrassing degree. Ready? I said almost a superhero. I know. I can admit I lost that match, but I showed myself that I almost could have won. It's kind of like Middle Eastern / just bad, right? See, I tried. My accents are not my strong suit. But yes, so let's break this down in a normal English accent. I said almost a superhero. I know, I can admit I lost that match, but I showed myself that I almost could have won. I mean, it doesn't get much worse, guys. I was really trying to avoid Nikki on this because I have just burned her character to the ground, and I stand by every word of it. And I just don't want to. I don't want to overburden the negativity either. But that's god awful. But that's good to know, Nikki. This is Owen now talking. You are the champion, and you know you can almost beat your challenges. I understand her role as the underdog, but I think this is taking it to another level. Also, is her finisher really the crossbody? Yes, I think it is. And I don't know if that's ironic that it's the cross body, or if it's just happens to be crossbody and it's the closest thing to a superhero move because she's flying off the top rope. That's a very common move that usually leads to a finisher. I'm sorry, but I can't believe that a crossbody does more damage than something like a super kick, which is now used as a traditional move. Yeah, Owen, I can't get into this. You're killing me, dude. And I'm not you, but the whole Nikki character from top to bottom, in and out, left and right, diagonally, however you break it down or slice it, it is from really pillar to post is bad. It's bad, and this is coming from a 36-year-old guy who is all about real characters being developed, not Spirit Halloween costumes being put on, and we're suddenly almost superheroes. Again, you're as much as almost a superhero as I am putting on a Green Ranger outfit, saying I'm a part of the Power Rangers. Seriously. I mean, that is the equivalent of that. I'm being for real. First of all, I'm a huge fan of the Power Rangers, like the original. Okay, there's another fun fact that you didn't care to know, but I'm telling you anyway. Big fan of the Power Rangers. The 1995 to 1997, 98 time frame. Not New Force, not Ninja, not Space, not the Power Rangers in space garbage. I'm talking about like Power Rangers the original and up to like Power Rangers Zeo. That's like where I ended. For those that have no idea what I'm talking about or have tuned out at this point, just I don't apologize. I don't at all. I sincerely do not apologize for that because I'm a massive Power Rangers fan. I'll even still watch some YouTube clips, and it's still awesome, even at 36. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. So that's my analogy, right? Like if I put on a Green Ranger Power Rangers outfit, I really doubt that Zordon's gonna teleport me to the command center. So, and again, those of you that didn't watch have no idea what I'm talking about. Those that did understand the analogy. So, okay, moving on to let's see here, and yeah, but the cross bodies is just it's nearly as bad as Big E's big ending. Finally, AJ Styles and Omos. I feel like every week I keep speaking about these two because their situation worries me. Last week, they got one of the biggest pops of the night and had fans behind them the whole match. This week, they had them fight the Viking Raiders again for some reason. Did WWE ever actually tell us why the Viking Raiders got another shot at the titles? They also had a commercial break over their entrance and then made AJ attack Riddle, clearly trying to turn the fans against them. I honestly believe AJ Styles is better as a face and needs a last run as a single star, hopefully as a face. That's all for now. Your resident heel, Owen. Well, Owen, yes, continue to please be a heel. I really enjoy heel emails, very much so. So, I'm glad you brought that up. because I was thinking about that too. I'm watching this tag team title match and I'm thinking, all right, maybe I missed something on Raw last week where it was said in passing that they were the number one contenders, or contenders for the titles. And I'm thinking, all right, I probably missed it. I was probably in the middle of doing something, because I'll watch sometimes Monday Night Raw while I'm, having dinner, or kind of in passing. I'll be multitasking a lot of times while I'm watching Monday Night Raw. And I'm thinking, okay, it's probably just my own ignorance. But it clearly is not. And it's just accepted that it's a title match with no explanation. Yep. And AJ Styles, as far as one last run as a babyface, hell yeah. I've been advocating for this for a while. Just a 6-month run with a top title, right? And help put over the next heel. That's what I want. And I think we might get it. I'll say there's a better chance of this than Jeff Hardy being revived one more time. I think AJ Styles has more days in front of him, behind him than in front of him. But AJ Styles being in a tag team the last year and a half has, I think, elongated his career, because it has allowed him to essentially cut his work in half, where he doesn't have to work the whole match. I mean, it would be exactly, right? I mean, but he works less mileage on his body, elongates his career. So that's one positive out of all this. While Father Time is not stopping, at least the amount of mileage you put on your body can be mitigated. And I think that is one positive of AJ being in a tag team. If they want to give him one last run, he's not beat up and battered like he may have been if he was a single star. So, alrighty, let's see. I believe we can all take a breather now and say that we are done with emails. Thank you to everybody contributing with emails this week. And it's time to get to those beloved voicemails. And since we have a patron who has chimed in with their voicemail, respectively, actually a couple of voicemails that I'll stitch together, we are going to give the patron and this is Amanda Jin, I believe. We're going to give her priority in the voicemail section of the show, part 2 of the show. So let's hear from Amanda and see what she has to say.
Hey, Matt and the podcast family. This is Amanda G, a.k.a. The Wizard. Got to keep it short this week because I have to head off to pick up my kiddos. Raw was rather head-scratching this week. There were a lot of things that, as you guys discussed on the Raw review, just didn't make sense, or they're just pretty much beating a dead horse at this point. The only thing that was a big positive for me was the absolute Charlotte beatdown the beatdown that Nikki Ash got from Charlotte was just definitely what we all have been wanting for quite a while. No disrespect to Nikki, but this superhero character is just not for me, as we've discussed in the past. Also, the promo that Charlotte caught was just fantastic. And then the Mace and T-Bar, I don't know if anybody else has caught this, but to me, they remind me of Bebop and Rocksteady from Ninja Turtles. If you guys are too young to understand that, Google it, because trust me, if you look at the pictures of them and look at Mace and T-Bar, they look exactly the same. I'm just really perplexed about some things that are going to lead up into SummerSlam. At this point, I'm starting to be thinking that Becky might not even return for SummerSlam at this point. I think they might push it for Survivor Series, but who knows? There's a lot of unanswered questions that hopefully we'll get some answers soon. Hope everything is well. Good luck with the new baby coming soon, and talk to you next time. Hey, Matt, this is Amanda Jen again. I completely forgot to include in my previous voicemail. Thank you so much to everyone who is a listener of the podcast for all the positive love and feedback that you guys sent me either on Twitter and Instagram this past week for me being featured on the Raw review. It was so amazing, you guys, the outpour. I was super nervous doing it, and I can't wait to do it again. I had a great time. I was going to include something else, but I totally forgot. Must not be important. Anyways, take care, guys, and talk to you next time.
Hey, Amanda, great to hear you again. And, I have to say I got a lot of positive feedback as well. I didn't hear one negative thing. I'm not just saying that. I really didn't. From your Raw review you did with me, it was a lot of fun. No need to be nervous. It's just wrestling, right? It's wrestling, or Ninja Turtles references as you just made, which, I have to say, it is sad, but also eye-opening that you have to tell people to Google Bebop and Rocksteady. Like, if you don't know what that is, it's not a bad thing. I think it's more of a referendum on our, like me and you, right? Like we're 90s babies, which feels, I always feel like the 90s were like 15 years ago. It always feels like, I'm just like, that was like 15 years ago. Oh no, right? Like it's 25 years ago. It's just insane, right? So, God, time goes so fast. And, you hear that from grown-ups, adults when you're kids. You hear that from like parents and aunts, uncles, whatever. Time goes so fast, and as a kid, it drags. And you get older, and it just, once you hit like 20, it's boom, gone. You're in your 30, then you got 30s, and you're married, and you have kids, and boom, it's like, it's unbelievable. So, okay, enough of those life lessons. Amanda, you bring up some good points. Well, number one, Nikki getting beat down was such a pleasurable thing on Monday night. It wasn't supposed to be, because the crowd actually was playing along, and I was very disappointed in the crowd, again, in their support of Nikki and booing of Charlotte. I'm very interested to hear like one of the quote hardcore audiences, what they do, like New York, Chicago, right? And on the pay-per-view, how they support Nikki or don't. But I loved it. The Mason T-Bar, good stuff, right? Mason T-Bar do remind me of Bebop and Rocksteady. They're just goofballs. I mean, I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are, what they're supposed to stand for. I have no idea. They gave up that whole, the whole taking down WWE thing pretty quickly, didn't they? Boy, oh boy, Retribution. Right up there with Katie Vick, almost. But certainly, Amanda, anytime that you want to come back on, we'll set up some time, and I appreciate the congratulations. And we're almost there. We're almost there, and I'm gonna really miss being here on a weekly basis, almost daily basis. I feel like recording and being able to interact with you guys. But it'll go quick. It'll go quick, and I'll be back here on the mic before I know it. And maybe I'll sneak in a show or two. It's all gonna really be up in the air. It's all gonna be up in the air. So, all right, let's continue on, and let's get to Kyle from Baltimore. I believe this is him. So let's see what he has to say.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore, Maryland. I already go back to the whole Nikki situation of her being champion now and her cash in. Now let's just say this: if she cashed in the contract on Bianca Belair, and it ended up being, and if Nikki cashed in the contract on Bianca Belair, will people be all excited the fact that she is champion? I would think not. And if so, then they never liked Bianca Belair's champion in the first place. If that was the case, you have a character like Nikki Ash, that's a stupid name, as the SmackDown Women's Champion. I don't think people will like that. I think the reason why I think it works, I guess, on Raw because no one wants to see Rhea or Charlotte as champion, and Nikki, I guess, is the best outfit, I guess, which I personally don't agree with it. We'll see how long she'll be champion for. I just can't honestly believe that she'll be champion for more than a month or so. Because again, it just feels like it's like spitting to the face of Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks or Bayley, who are previous champions before Nikki with her being champion again. This happened on SmackDown, and if you cast in on Bianca Belair, will people be happy about that? I would think not. And again, if so, then they never care about Bianca Belair as champion. But that's just my point of view from it. I'll never like this. If people do, that's their own opinion, but that's just my point about the whole situation. But that's it. Thanks for a call. Bye.
All right, Kyle. Well, you share in my displeasure for Nikki. Certainly, most people on this show that are responding to me do, but the problem is we aren't the ones attending the shows. We have the families, we have the casual fans, we have just the women and the young children that apparently just are yay, go Nikki. She's so inspirational. And we need more fans like us, right? We need fans like us to balance out those that are just delusional over Nikki Cross. So come on, guys, let's get to the shows, right? Put on your mask or what. I don't care what the hell you do. Get vaccinated so you can go to the damn show. All right. So, oh Lord. But yeah, your point about Nikki Cross cashing in on Bianca. No, people wouldn't be happy about that because Bianca's doing a really good job. Bianca's, I would say, is kicking ass right now. She's doing a really good job. I think better than even I expected, most of us expected after her victory at WrestleMania and arguably the best match of the entire pay-per-view with Sasha Banks. And I think that if Nikki cashed in on her, certainly fans would be pissed. They'd be pissed. And the point is to not turn Nikki heel. They're trying to keep her babyface, so they do it against a resident champion like Charlotte. And unfortunately, the fans have gone along with this and have supported WWE on this venture. But they would have gone. They would have turned on Nikki, certainly, if she did it to Bianca. Yeah, because she's a babyface. And if you cash in on a babyface, then you're going to turn yourself heel. So that's the thing there. I think the over under, if I'm looking at it, as far as how long Nikki Cross is champion, it's, the thing is, the biggest wild card is Becky Lynch. Is Becky Lynch on her way back now? Is she going to continue to tease and take a picture of herself in every city that WWE has a pay-per-view in on the day of the pay-per-view? Like, what is she doing, right? So, I mean, I would think the over-under on Nikki Cross, Nikki Ash, whatever, Nikki being champion is probably like 1 month. I think it's the over-under. And I would say it's she's probably going to drop it at SummerSlam. Please. I don't need Nikki trying to inspire me on a weekly basis. Even after getting her ass handed to her, she's still up, smiling about how, well, I almost didn't lose this tooth. Like, oh, Charlotte almost didn't break my arm this week. I almost went to the ER, right? I mean, like, you can make this really hilarious. So, all right. Thanks so much, Kyle. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, it's the Waz from Indy. Just giving you a call back. I've been loving seeing fans in the shows. That's been a huge improvement. A little confused on what they're going to do with Cena and now Finn Balor with Roman. Is it going to be a triple threat match? I don't know. Kind of weird. Love seeing Finn Balor. I mean, I want to see them push him. I think people could really get behind him. The crowd seems to love him. So I hope that can to go forward for him. Big E does need to do something. And if they're going to let him continue to use the New Day thing, then the other two need to break up. That way it's just his deal. Then that's the only other way I want to see it other than him coming up with his own idea. If he just can't get away from it because that's just what feels natural for him, that's who he wants to be, then the other two need to go away and there not be a New Day and that just be who he is. They even use his voiceover when the New Day comes out with the whole power of positivity thing. So anyways, with that said, I do not want to see Drew turn heel. We've got enough heels. We need more faces. I just want to see him be the brutal face. He's just ticked off. He's always been the guy that seems to get ticked off. And now we're just seeing him in his worst case scenario where he just beat the snot out of that guy with that chair. I was shocked. A different note mentioning a chair. I don't know if you saw this, but AEW, Chris Jericho took a headshot. Kind of shocked. It wasn't a serious one. It was just a little bitty one, kind of. But he definitely took a headshot. So just wanted to throw that out there. I was kind of shocked to see that. And all the blood that AEW's had lately. Pretty crazy. Anyways, the only other thing I want to see happen with Goldberg is since they're doing this, I'm just hoping that Bobby just goes in there and obliterates him. Like Goldberg doesn't even stand a chance. I don't think they'll do it, but that would be, to me, what make Bobby even that much more of a monster to set him up to go against Brock. And maybe that's what they're trying to do. I don't know. But Bobby needs to be that kind of guy where he just seems unable to beat. No one can do anything to him if he's just that unstoppable. Anyways, hope you guys are doing well. Later.
Hey, Waz, I agree. Look, I want Goldberg to get destroyed as well. I want a Kofi-sized beatdown on Goldberg. That's what I want. I mean, right off the bat, he's going to go for spear, jackhammer, spear. I mean, like, how is anybody even surprised by Goldberg at this point? His repertoire, his game plan is so well documented. Like, how is anybody surprised by this dude, in the ring from a logistical standpoint? But I agree. I hope he gets beat to a pulp, but I don't think that'll happen because from what I understand, he has a multi-year contract that has him fulfill 2 matches a year. So to have him get beat, I mean, it's just, there's so many things behind that would muddy the waters if he beat him into a bloody pulp. I mean, if I say bloody for kind of just in the highest sense, not really actually doing it because it's PG, but I would love it. Number 2, Jericho headshot. I didn't see it. I'll have to check that out. I do miss chair shots to the head in a very grotesque, dark, selfish way. I do. I miss chair shots to the head when somebody comes in the ring with a chair and you're like, oh, just knock their damn head off. They have to hit him in the gut, hit him in the back, hit him in the back, hit him in the back. And it's just, I miss chair shots to the head. If there was some safe way to do it, I would love it. I really would. It's so missed. It's just part of pro wrestling is a steel chair. And it's just, it goes so well together, like peanut butter and jelly. But the whole deal with Finn Balor and the triple threat, as you mentioned, you're talking about it. And I had spoken throughout the show about this, that, I don't think it's a title match he was actually intending for because he never said it. But now that everyone has assumed that it is a title match, and maybe they actually meant it, they just didn't say it explicitly that it's for the Universal title, and it does end up being a triple threat. Here's why I think it does, if it does. It's simple, really. John Cena is a legend. They want probably another match out of Cena, maybe later this year or at WrestleMania. And they want to protect John Cena a little bit. He's not the future anymore, but they'd like to protect him and not just get him steamrolled by Roman. Why would you add a third person? Easy. They're the scapegoat. They're the ones on their back looking up at the lights at the end of the match. So you could also, it's a nice out where you don't have to do one-on-one. You don't have to have a definitive winner or a loser, because WWE, that they just don't have sometimes the balls to do it, and they always have to have screwy finishes, which is why you have so many roll-ups and so forth, and distraction finishes. But what you do is you add a third person, because adding that third person does a couple things. Number 1, it gets another person in the match, which I don't think that's an asset. I actually think it's a deterrent, but that's me. Number 2, it protects the babyface because they're the ones who are not being pinned. In this case, John Cena is not the one who's in the decisive fall, so there's an out for the babyface. For the heel, it's also kind of a chicken blank thing to do. Well, I guess it's not chicken blank. It's really a kind of lady luck thing to do for you to not have to deal with John Cena and rather get the victory over Finn Balor, therefore protecting John Cena, the guy that you want to see go one-on-one with Roman. And having Finn as that kind of third wheel, as the catch-all for everything that they don't have the guts to do. That's what I think the benefit of having him in there is, which means don't put him in, but maybe they will. So, all right, I think I've broken that down into a fine powder here. Let's see. I wrote down as you were talking, Waz, imagine Nikki Cross joining the New Day. My God, it would be an overload of positivity. I mean, it would bleed through our TV screens. You'd have multiple fans around the world, probably hundreds of thousands of fans like you and myself and people that listen to wrestling podcasts probably vomit in unison at their phones or TV screens. It would be just, I hope I didn't throw that out in there in the ether. Nikki Cross joining the New Day. My God, that would be sickening. But thanks, Waz. And let's get to our final voicemail for the night. And this looks like Justin from Maryland. I believe it's Justin from Maryland. He has 2 voicemails, but we're going to stitch them together and make it one beautiful voicemail. So we'll close out the show with Justin from Maryland. And here we go.
Hey, man, this is Justin from Maryland. I just got a quick couple of thoughts for you. First is, WWE is really confusing with their booking because they pick and choose, like when they call up someone, like they pick and choose who they want to win. For example, for return, like Keith Lee, for example, he just came back and he loses his first 2 matches. Why would you have him come back after 6 months and book him against 2 world champions and have him lose. I would be more satisfied if he came back, maybe face somebody like John Morrison or somebody else, Ricochet, someone to give him a good match. But he needs wins. Just like Zelina Vega, you had her come back, you fired her, you had her come back, and then she's losing matches. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why do you think the WWE picks and chooses, like, who they want to win when they come up or return? Because, not everybody loses, but just want your thoughts on that. Where do you think they're going to go with this whole Finn Balor, Reigns, Cena situation? Because I've seen some people talk about how they want to be a triple threat, but I still think it'll be one-on-one Cena versus Reigns. Maybe they'll just have Reigns go against Balor and then just have him beat him, and then Cena comes out, gives them an AA, and then there you go. That's how you get the match set up. Other than that, I was really satisfied with Charlotte beating Nikki. I don't really like her character. Maybe because I'm older, I can't really relate to her character. It's kind of childish to me. So I was really happy that Charlotte won, and I was hoping that she would have challenged for the title next week instead of just a regular match. But, hey, man, just want your thoughts on that. And my time's almost up, so I'll talk to you next time. Hey, man, this is Justin from Maryland again. Just wanted one more thought to get out. What are your thoughts on Adam Pearce now? Because I can't stand him on screen. Like, I remember, like, when he first came on screen or whatever, like, we was like, who is this guy? Like, what's his purpose? Now, it's just like, every time he comes on camera, I just, like, sigh. Like, it's just like, what is really your purpose? Like, his facial expressions, like, I don't know. I don't know if he's just trying too hard or what, but he doesn't really do it for me. Like, I really just want someone to just beat him up. Like, I remember that whole Roman Reigns angle when Roman Reigns just demolished him, and I love that. Like, when are we going to get that again? Because I just don't understand why Adam Pearce is even, I don't know what his general manager, I mean, they're calling them a WWE official, and Sonya Deville needs to get back in the ring. I don't know, like, them two being together is just weird. Like, it doesn't really do it for me. I don't know. Yeah, but, yeah, that's it, man. Sorry for the second voicemail, but I just wanted your thoughts on Adam Pearce. You don't really talk about him as much as we used to, because I guess he's not really important, but it's like, when he comes on camera, it's just like, why are you even here? So, all right, man. Thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Justin, thanks for taking the time to contribute to the show here. And I don't talk about Adam Pearce a lot. And the reason is because he's not that big of a part of the show anymore. He used to be prominently positioned. He was involved in a Braun Strowman angle. He was involved in, as you mentioned, the Roman Reigns angle, that kind of thing. And he was on TV a lot more last year than he is this year. And that's the reason why. His role's been minimized, at least in a TV sense. So that's really the reason I haven't talked about him much, but I will say I felt the same way about you, like you did at first when I saw Pearce, that I wanted someone to just beat the holy hell out of him. And when Roman beat him up, it was kind of funny. It really was. I enjoyed that, but he does have some annoying quirks about him. He does. And it seems as if it's overacting at times. Like you said, trying too hard. I think that's a part of it. I also think he's just naturally kind of a quirky, emotive guy, and it does come off as obnoxious at times on TV. So I honestly don't hate him in that role, only because it's minimized now. He's not running through the show. It's not centered around Adam Pearce. He comes out when needed. That said, Sonya Deville needs to go back in the ring. Yes, you want to bolster the women's division, an already paper-thin women's division. Add Sonya. I don't know if she's ring ready. I don't know if she's mentally ready, but do it. She's so good on the mic, and she's being handcuffed by her position of being this kind of co-WWE official, that really a de facto GM, that they won't say GM, even though it's all the functions of a general manager. except they don't put the label on it because there's so much bad stigma that goes with GM that wrestling fans are just tired of quote GMs, but you label them as an official and suddenly fans are like, oh, okay, well, then she's just an official, right? It's just an official. It's the same thing. They do the same functions. And by the way, why do both of them need to come out every single time a decision's made? This is the job. This job has been done by one person for many, many years, and suddenly they need two people. It's really a one person job that two people are doing. And yeah, I don't know. But I already went through the Finn Balor and Roman Reigns and John Cena dynamic and the possibilities there. And I think it was the last caller who talked about it. And I went over my thoughts about the triple threat and what that would mean and how they could give outs to both the babyface and the heel by making Finn the scapegoat and taking the fall. Keeping Roman champion, but also keeping John Cena as the babyface and protected. I think that's maybe the way they'll go, but also like you said, and I initially said at the beginning of the show, I think it could be where a situation where they take Finn, they have Roman beat him on TV, and then he moves on to John Cena after he's forced to from John Cena attacking him or whatnot. I think that's probably more likely, but I also see the triple threat. I see it coming. So certainly that is a possibility. And I'm looking really more forward, not to so much to the match, but more towards the promo or promos when they finally go face to face, if they're allowed to let loose. And I mentioned that also on my Raw review that, I'm worried that they'll just protect Roman and not actually, or my SmackDown weekend review rather, and that they'll not really allow for Roman Reigns to get demolished like he did the first time around with John Cena. They'll be more protected and controlled. So look out for that. All right. Yeah. Keith Lee, your last point, really your first point, my last point. Keith Lee, I agree with you that, they have made a habit lately of bringing people back or bringing people up and having them lose on their debut or return match. It's weird. Like Karrion Kross, right? Like what the hell? Karrion Kross is an example. You could say, well, he's got, at least he's got something great going on with Samoa Joe and NXT. So there is that, but it is weird. Selena Vega doesn't make sense. Keith Lee, it doesn't make sense. The only thing I'll say about Keith Lee, if you're looking for a silver lining, at least he's losing to world champions. There is that. He's not out there losing, to R-Truth. Okay. Keith Lee is out there in a competitive matchup, not a squash. He's not getting squashed even by these world champions. It's at least competitive, and it's with world champions, even in a loss. So if you want to hang your hat on something, there's something for you to consider, at least if you're trying to find the good in this. As far as how WWE picks and chooses, who they want to win and lose, I mean, it all depends on sometimes Vince's mood, which way the wind blows. Did somebody sneeze in front of Vince? Right? Sometimes it is probably as simple as that. But it usually is for, quote, the greater good, right? It should be to advance storylines, to progress how they pick and choose these kinds of things and who wins and loses their debut matches and things. Sometimes I think it may have to do with punishing a talent or humbling a talent, seeing how they deal with losing when they feel that they should be winning. I think it's sometimes a test for talent. And that's, I think, a lot of it. Again, such an open-ended question, but in the situations of Keith Lee and Zelina Vega, perhaps it is kind of a test that management is purposefully putting on them to see how they react in a real backstage role about maybe consistently losing or not being in a place that they feel, they being the talent, feels they should be. So, all right. So thank you so much, Justin. And I look forward to your voicemail. I keep saying next week for people, and I just say that out of habit and muscle memory. But, hey, if you guys, let me just say this. If you send me emails and voicemails, continue to do so. I will do them on Mailbag shows. It just may take a little while. So I don't want you to stop sending your emails and voicemails. I will get to them as best I can, as quickly as I can. So please don't hesitate to send your thoughts my way. I'm not saying, hey, I'm having a baby, don't send anything. I want you guys to keep emailing me and sending me your thoughts and sending me your voicemails, because I will eventually be able to play them on a future Mailbag show. If not that week, maybe the week after. We'll see how my life goes. So everybody, thank you so much for your contributions to the show. You can email us at realwwepodcast@gmail.com for your email to be read on this show. It is much appreciated. Again, guys, I don't know the next time I'll be able to do this, but we'll see. I'll be, as of right now, I'm scheduled to speak with Anthony DeMarco tomorrow night on a what if show. We'll see if that actually happens or not, but it's all up in the air, guys, and I'll keep you updated. Follow me on Twitter for the latest, by the way. Easiest way to communicate is on Twitter at wrestling_audio. Everybody, thanks so much. And as always, I'll talk to you next time.